When you're riding with first contact and then building connection, everything gets smooth, everything gets easy. You and your horse become one. It's like a magical feeling of connection. And the end result is that you don't need weight. Hello, I'm Amelia, and in this video, I'm going to teach you the difference between contact and connection. These terms sound really similar, but they mean completely different things. And if you ride dressage, it's important that you understand the difference between these two terms and how one leads into another. Connection really is the secret to getting your horse to use their top line, getting your horse to engage their hind end. It's the secret to being able to ride those nice smooth transitions. And it's also, the word connection alludes to the partnership that you feel between you and your horse. So I think a lot of times when we're first starting out riding, we hear all these terms in dressage and we don't really know what they mean. So if that's you, check out the description box. I have a free PDF where I go through the 10 most common dressage terms and really explain them to you easily. But quickly here, I'm going to talk to you about contact and connection. So when we hear the word contact is the relationship between your hand and the horse's mouth. So it's basically just from my fingers to the bit. That is contact. And for riding, we want to have contact. So you want to be able to have a light, soft, elastic contact. You should have about the weight of a soda can in your hand. That's the ideal amount of contact. You don't want to feel like you're lifting weights when you're riding your horse. You don't want to have like 20 pounds in your hand, but you also don't want your reins to be completely slack. So here, I don't have contact, right? You can see how my reins are slack. And the reason that not having any contact isn't a good thing is because when you don't have contact, it's hard to maneuver your horse. Like you can see how Mercurio is now heading out the gate and going a lot faster. So when you don't have any contact, it's difficult to control your horse. Of course, we all know that your reins are like the last part of your position and you don't want to just use your reins to control your horse, but you do need to have contact. There is a reason that we ride with a bridle or a hackamore, is because it helps you to keep your horse's mind and body with you. So I'm going to go through first how to establish a steady contact. And one thing I will say is I always start from the ground with just teaching my horse to accept the bit, teaching my horse to bend a little bit and soften to the contact. But when you're riding, the first thing that you always want to check in with is your rider position. And the biggest things that are important is that you have the correct alignment, ear, shoulder, hip, heel, and that you have a straight line from elbow to mouth. If you are tipping forward, then you're not going to be engaging your seat. And anytime you use your rein, you're going to be just pulled over the top of your horse. And then you want to have a straight line from elbow to mouth, and you want your elbows to be following. And the reason that this is important is because when your horse is moving, their neck oscillates. So you can see here at the walk, mostly at the walk and the canter, but there's an oscillation of the horse's neck. So to establish a steady elastic contact, you need to have a straight line from elbow to mouth and a following elbow. Then the next step to establishing contact, once you've checked your rider position, is riding forward. So use your leg to send your horse forward to your hand. I often think of the image of a shopping cart. So you know how when you're pushing a shopping cart, your legs are the momentum and your hands are out in front of you. So I'm going to use my leg here and I'm going to say, come on, go forward into contact, go forward into contact. So you can say here that I have contact, right? There's a light pressure in my hand. I have about the weight of a soda can. I have even pressure in the reins. And even just establishing contact can be really hard. So let me know in the chat if your horse tends to be fussy in the contact or curl or too strong. And contact is just the first part. We haven't even started talking about connection. So this is an example of where I have contact, but do I have connection? Well, a great way to test whether you have connection is by doing a transition. So if I ask for, let's say, a canter transition, that wasn't very good. So I asked for canter and he just trotted faster and his head came up. So if contact is the relationship from your hand to your horse's mouth, connection is your whole horse's body. And what we want with connection, I'll show a little visual with a whip here, but with connection, we really want the energy to flow from your leg to your horse's hind leg, up through the back into the mouth. Here's a little visual to help you understand why connection is so important. This whip represents my horse. The end down here is the hind end. That up there is the front end. When your horse is hollow, head up, back down, there's this awful kink and tension. And then when your horse goes more forward, there's a block. There's a kink in your hose. So what we want is we want our horse to round through their top line. So contact, you establish a light contact with the bit. Then you get your horse round by sending your horse forward from back to front. And you can see how this lifts the back and the top line, right? We get the engagement and the energy from the hind end, which goes up through your horse's back and lifts up through their neck and their top line. If you don't have contact, you can't have connection, right? So you have to have a little light contact here, and then you have to ride your horse from back to front to get the energy to arc up like this. But first contact, then connection, and then once you have connection, the contact gets even softer. Hopefully that was helpful. So once you have contact and your horse is softly accepting the bit and you have the weight of a soda can in your hand, the next thing is that we need to think about connection. So if I have contact, how do I possibly get back there? How do I get that hind leg and that back to engage? Well, this is where inside leg to outside rein comes in. And you've probably heard that before. But one of the easiest ways to start establishing inside leg to outside rein is just simply by making a circle and thinking about moving your horse. I'm putting my right leg on and I'm holding my left rein. And notice how Mercurio is starting to step a little over with the right hind. He's starting to get a little bit rounder through his neck. He's starting to lift his back a little bit more up. So I'm beginning to get a little bit more connection just by thinking about, okay, can I move him from my inside leg into the outside rein? Now, one thing that's super cool is as you start to get connection, the contact often softens. So notice here how I can give the inside rein. I'm doing uber striking on the inside rein. That's really a test of the connection. And he's staying round and he's staying soft. Another really good exercise to help with connection is leg yields. So you can turn a little early, leg yield your horse to the outside rein, get that inside hind leg to engage, and then test, okay, can I give a little? Good boy. And then the third and most difficult test of connection is, of course, transitions. So let's see. Good boy. That was way better than before, right? Remember how when I tried to ask for canter before, I had connection? He just went with his head up. He just went trotting faster. He didn't canter at all. Good boy. Good boy. And in the canter, I'm still thinking, okay, inside leg to outside rein, giving the inside rein. So the goal, when you have connection, it's like the best feeling ever. You really feel like you can ride from the seat. You feel like you don't need your reins to hold your horse. You feel like you can ride smooth and balanced transitions and changes of direction. But you have to have contact first. I can't stress that enough. Like you have to have a light, steady feel You need to think about sending your horse forward from your leg to your hand. You need to have the correct rider position, because if, for example, your arms are down here and locked, look at what that does to him. It curls in behind. If your hands are too high, he's going to come above the bit and totally lose the contact. If I tip forward, now I've totally lost it. So when you're riding with first contact and then building connection, everything gets smooth. Everything gets easy. You and your horse become one. It's like a magical feeling of connection. And the end result is that you don't need your reins, that you feel like your horse is on your seat and you can really give the rein there and nothing changes. And you can ride those transitions. And another big test of connection is the stretch circle, right? If you give the reins, can you maintain the tempo? And does your horse stretch their neck all the way down? And that is why the stretch circle is in the training and first level tests, is because it is a test of your connection. Good boy. Good boy. So don't forget to let me know in the chat how your horse is in the contact. I hope that this has cleared up for you the difference between contact and connection, so that in your next lesson, when you hear those terms or when you hear it on a test sheet, that you know exactly what your trainer is talking about. And don't forget to like and subscribe. We post a new video every single Wednesday. In the description box is the free PDF with those 10 dressage terms every rider should know. Definitely read those and study those, because when you understand the terminology, you can be a lot more effective and productive in your lessons.